Hi, romance readers. I am Liz Donatelli. Welcome to Reader Seeks Romance, the #1 romance novel talk show on YouTube. Critically acclaimed romance author Roan Parrish returns to discuss her small-town holiday romance, The Lights on Knockbridge Lane. Roan also chats about writing the first gay romance in Harlequin Special Edition series line and reimagining The Lights on Knockbridge Lane as a horror story. And Roan plays Match Game, Small Town Holiday Romance Edition. Enjoy, and be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Hi, Roan. Welcome back to Reader Seeks Romance.
Hey, Liz. Thank you so much for having me. I'm really excited to be here.
I thoroughly enjoyed my return to Garnet Run, Wyoming, in your cozy small town holiday romance, The Lights on Knockbridge Lane. Congratulations, first off, on your starred review from Publishers Weekly.
Thank you.
I'm sure that never gets old.
Nope.
And The Lights on Knockbridge Lane bears the distinction of being Harlequin's first ever gay romance novel in a category series. So congratulations again. Tell me how you came to write the first gay romance in the Harlequin Special Edition series line.
It actually was an accident. So the first 2 books in the series are published through Carina Press, and Carrie is my lovely editor at Carina, and Carrie sent Better Than People, the first book in that series, over to the editor of Special Editions, which is the imprint or the line that Lights on Knockbridge Lane came out on. And the editor of Special Editions thought that Carrie was sending her a manuscript that she might want to publish. And she was like, oh yeah, I love it. I totally want it for Special Editions. And Carrie was like, oh no, so sorry. I was actually just sharing this with you because I knew you would like it. I'm already publishing 2 books in this series with Carina. And Gail, the editor at Special Editions, was like, oh, but I want one. And so Carrie came to me and was like, do you want to write more in the series than just 2? And if so, do you want to write them for Special Edition? And I, being excited about writing more books and ignorant about Harlequin, was like, sure, I don't know what that is, but yeah, I want to write more books. I don't care what imprint they're in. When I, did my research and realized what it was and found out that it was going to be the first on-page queer romance that they had published, because they had published before, I think, bisexual characters who were in a male-female relationship. So there was canon queerness, but not on-page queer relationships. When I found that out, I was like, that is freaking awesome. I'm so thrilled that they are going to do this. And obviously they're late. They're very late to the game. They're, in fact, I think the last romance imprint to have not done it yet, which makes sense to me because Harlequin is a lot more traditional in a lot of ways. They have these die-hard series readers. Mm-hmm. And of course, publishing is a business, and they were not gonna they wanted to publish things that these people would like. And so I was really excited that they were finally gonna be hey, this is there are queer people in the world. It's time. Let's do it. I feel very responsible being the first person to write one of these books. And yes, I have my investment in this series and I want the book to do well because I care about it and it's my book. But also I feel a much greater, not responsibility, but I feel invested in the book doing well because I do not want anyone at Harlequin to have a single reason to be no, queer romance doesn't sell, or it's not what people want. I want the book to do well so that every single line in Harlequin is well, we're missing out on a major piece of the population, both to represent as authors, to represent as characters, and to reach as readers. The Lights on Knockbridge Lane is about Adam Mills and his daughter Gus, who's 8. And Adam grew up in Garnet Run and then was living with his husband in Colorado and moved back to Garnet Run when they got divorced. And he's really worried when he moves back because Gus, his daughter, has no friends here, doesn't know anyone, and he really wants to give her a great Christmas. So he says to her, what would make you so happy this Christmas? And she says, I want the most lights on our house, Christmas lights, of anyone in the world. And he's like, oh, thank God she didn't ask for a computer or something, it really expensive. Throughout the course of the book, he realizes that actually getting a lot of Christmas lights is rather expensive. But as he's figuring this out, he meets Wes, their across the street neighbor, and they meet when Gus, who is also fascinated by like lizards and spiders and snakes, sees through Wes's basement window that he has a lizard and breaks into his house to look at the lizard. And Wes, who's like he's very antisocial. None of the neighbors know him. He never comes out during the daytime. Wes like drags Gus home by her ear and is like to Adam, is this yours? Because she just straight up broke into my house. But that begins the sort of relationship between Wes and Adam, facilitated largely by Gus at first, who really wants to learn about science from Wes, who's an inventor. And Wes and Adam are sort of like pulled along for the ride. But what started out as something that Gus drove quickly becomes a romance between Adam, who like is so used to taking care of other people that he's not used to looking for what he wants, and Wes, who has a past of like not trusting that people want him for the right reasons, and has built up these walls, literal and metaphorical, since then. And their love story really unfolds around trying to get Gus the most lights ever. I'll just say that by the end of the book, there are sure as hell a lot of lights on that house.
To be honest, I feel like Christmas lights are triggering for me, because when I think of putting up Christmas lights, all I think of is arguing. First of all, unraveling the ball of lights, then what's working, what's not, how to put the lights on. So immediately I was like, oh no, there's lights.
What's interesting to me, so I'm Jewish. I grew up Jewish. I never grew up celebrating Christmas. And I have known many other Jewish people who also really love Christmas. And I have this theory that I'm sure I'm not the only one to have, but it's like, it's really easy for Jewish people to love Christmas because we have no negative associations with it. So like, I never grew up arguing about lights. I've actually never put up, I mean, I have on like friends' houses, but I never grew up with like the stress of Christmas. So for me, liking Christmas is like, it is a cultural fantasy that I can make anything that I want. And surely it's made of like gingerbread and cider.
Yes. I need you never to experience the stress of Christmas. That way you can continue writing these fabulous holiday romances. Where were you and what were you doing when the love story between Adam and Wes took root in your mind?
It was the pandemic. So I obviously have no sense of where I was or what I was doing. So in the book, Wes is an inventor, scientist, and his specialty is he works on bioluminescence. The whole book actually grew out of me learning about bioluminescence and becoming obsessed with it and being like, this is the coolest thing that I knew what it was kind of in a general, like we all know what it is sense, but I knew nothing about the science behind it or about like how it works. And as I was researching it, I was just like, this is so cool. I have to give this interest to a character. And somehow in my brain, I was like, yes, it's a Christmas romance, but instead of Christmas lights, they decorate the house with all bioluminescent light. And that was my vision. And then I learned more about it and I was like, that is impossible. So that's not the plot anymore. But the kind of like resonance between someone who wanted this kind of like Christmas lights as a cultural warmth, and then someone who did their work on this alternative source of light. That kind of like pairing in my head really stuck.
So Wes is a recluse who is rumored to be a vampire because he only ventures out at night.
Right.
Being a fan of the horror genre, how would you rewrite the Lights on Knockbridge Lane as a holiday horror novel?
Oh my God, I cannot believe you asked that question. We really are vibing because this is, oh my gosh, so many thoughts. So my girlfriend and I were watching a horror movie. I don't even remember which one, like a schlocky one. And she was like, what if they made the Lights on Knockbridge Lane as a movie, but it was a horror movie instead of a romance? Do you think you could do it? And I was like, I think it would make an amazing horror movie. Okay, so here's the premise. And like, I sound like I thought about this because I have actually thought about this. I think it would be kind of like a Fright Night situation where like all the neighbors think that this person is, a vampire, a werewolf, or whatever it is, because he's like a recluse. He only goes out at night. They see weird packages being delivered to his house. They can see that he has like a weird green glow coming from his windows, which in the romance is because he works on bioluminescence. So I think that the horror movie would be that he's not actually a werewolf. Wes isn't a werewolf or a vampire, But what becomes clear is that the green glow of bioluminescence is actually like an alien mind control substance. So it's a kind of like Fright Night meets Invasion of the Body Snatchers. So that what happens is Gus breaks into his basement looking for a lizard to pet, and actually like imagine like spirals of green in her eyes, like the bioluminescent alien slime, whatever, has like taken over her brain, and she then becomes the monster. And they start this relationship, or maybe he starts like meeting more of the neighbors, and you think it's going to end happily, and then she's the one who's like ripping out throats.
I love that you had an answer. Name a small town holiday event during which a couple's meet cute takes place.
A everything goes wrong children's Christmas pageant.
That's good. I put down a meet cute during a town tree lighting, where everyone's gathered, and my immediate thought was about someone like the two of them falling into the tree or something and accidentally knocking it down.
I love that. And because I'm Jewish, the image that I got, I'm realizing now that town tree lighting must mean putting Christmas lights on a tree, but I assumed you meant setting a tree on fire, which was, I'm imagining the people falling in and like being consumed in a fiery conflagration, and then like on the burn unit, they're holding like bandaged hands.
Next one. Name a date activity for a couple in a small town during the holidays.
All I can think of is that episode in the Gilmore Girls where Lorelai loves snow and Luke fills a kiddie pool or something with water to freeze to ice so that she can ice skate around it. So I'm imagining like making an ice skating rink and ice skating around it.
That is, okay, that's such a great answer. That's so great. I just put down their date activity was baking sugar cookies together.
Oh, that's so cute. I love a couple baking together.
Name a place where a couple shares a romantic kiss in a small town during the holiday season.
I'm going for a Christmas tree farm.
That is good. And I am stuck on gazebos.
I thought of gazebo, but then I was like, that's also from Gilmore Girls. People are going to think that you don't do anything with your life but watch the Gilmore Girls, which like I do one other thing. Okay.
Name the best small town location for a marriage proposal during the holiday season.
Okay. I'm going to go with a bench next to a stream in the woods just outside town. It's private. I hate like public. I don't really like marriage proposals anyway, because I feel like for me anyway, I would be like, that's something that we decide together. I don't want to get proposed to. That's like,
right.
Personally. But for a romance novel, I feel like I'm not a big fan of a public proposal. So I want it to be someplace like not public, but you're still out so that you can have the glee of like skipping home or skipping to the cafe,
right?
Being like, we just got engaged. We love each other so much.
I think we kind of match in a way because I also picked an outside spot.
Okay.
I was thinking outside on a snowy front lawn post snowball fight.
Oh, I love that.
I'm glad you do, because I don't know where it came from. I don't know how that would work. But
perfect. Okay, wait, here's how it would work. Okay. They went on the ice skating date, right?
Okay.
From the previous question or the earlier question.
Yes.
They go on the ice skating date and they're sort of like tripping, falling, and they're like, gotta get these skates off. And then while they're like putting their boots back on, one of them puts a snowball like down the back of the other one's jacket. And they're like, what? This is outrageous. And they start having a snowball fight, and they're kind of like running around the lawn doing it. And both of them are just like overwhelmed with, you're my favorite person. I love having so much fun with you. I haven't felt like this since I was a kid. I want this to be the rest of my life. And then they both like hit each other with the snowballs and kind of fall down. And then they propose simultaneously, where they're like falling in the snow and they're both at the same time just like, marry me. I want this to be every day. And they're like, no, wait, what did you say? Wait, I didn't hear you because I was talking. And it's kind of like and then they're both like staring at each other and they're like, did you proposed? I proposed. Are we? Yes? And then they're like, yes. And then they're kissing and then they're so cold and wet. And they're like, did you just put the snowball down my back? And the other one's like, don't pay attention to that. We're getting married. And they're like, okay, cool.
Awesome.
Well, that's partnership, baby.
I need to give you crazy ideas and you just turn them into awesome.
You have my email. Email me at will.
Well, Roan, it was so wonderful to see you again and to chat with you about the lights on Knockbridge Lane. Thank you so much for joining me today on Reader Seeks Romance.
Thank you so much for having me, Liz. It's always a joy.